Hello, Miss Shannon Group Sierra Club. It is author Kia Holt. I am so excited for the opportunity to be able to talk to you all about my book, Dealing with Grief and How to Move Beyond It. What a wonderful opportunity. Maybe I'll get to meet you all in person one time. But I wanted to just share a little bit about the book. So I started writing the book technically December 28th. I knew that I was going to write a book last year, so I just spent time in prayer and preparation. I thought that I was writing a book, so I'm also a pastor. So I was going to write a book that was tying something from some of my Bible study lessons. So I was watching a webinar that teaches you about writing a book, staying prepared, staying organized, and all of that. So as I was watching that, I heard the Lord say, dealing with grief and how to move beyond it. And I was like, what? I'm not grieving. What do you mean? So I'm continuing with the webinar, taking my little notes, and the Lord said it again, dealing with grief and how to move beyond it. And I was like, okay, let me write this down. So I write it down, and just like that, he gave me 5 of the chapters. And I was like, whoa. I was really shocked because I didn't feel like I was dealing with grief, and I wasn't really sure why the Lord was asking me to write this book. But the thing is that 2 weeks before that happened, I had a conversation with one of my best friends. Her mother had an episode. We were talking about it. While we were talking, one of the things that she said was, "I don't know what I will do if my mother," and I said, "Stop." When she and I met, we were 18 years old, starting college. My mother was at home dying of cancer. My dad and my brother were fighting a war. And here I was in another state. I graduated in Tacoma, Washington. We were both in Mississippi at college. And I explained to her, what if I stopped living because my mother was sick? My mother eventually died when I was 18 at the end of my first semester of college. And we've been in touch all these years. I said, what if I quit living? What if I gave up? We would not be here today. I said, you're basically telling God that he's not enough for you to keep living. Your mother's enough for you to keep living, but God's not enough for you to keep living. I said, do you not understand that it is the Lord who is keeping you and sustaining you? Yes, we love our parents and all the people we have in our lives, but you have to understand who is the original source, the giver of life and the sustainer, and it is of God. So 2 chapters that are in the book came from that conversation. One is preparing to say goodbye, and the second is, God, you are not enough. Some of the chapters in this book were from conversations that I had with people over time. They were from conversations that I've had with people as a pastor. And then I also share my grief story, which began in elementary school. My mother was initially diagnosed with cancer, and then other tragic events that I had in my life. So I also wanted to include my relationship with Christ that changed over time, which held on to me. And I have a part in the book about when my mother died, the Lord was holding on to me. But 30 years later, when my father died, I was a pastor, I was stronger in Christ, and then I knew to hold on to the Lord. So I talk about the transition. I talk about the different stages of grief, how to identify them, how to move beyond it. How do we deal with grief? And then secondly, how do we move beyond it? So I want to say this one thing, and this is not just a plug for you all to buy books. We're getting ready to enter into the holiday season. That is when grief is most prevalent for most people. Here's my suggestion, and one of the chapters that I have is called First of the First. It is preparing yourself for these monumental events when your loved one is not there. It could be the Thanksgiving, it could be Christmas, it could be Hanukkah, it could be whatever holiday it is. Perhaps it's an anniversary, it's a birthday. It is preparing yourself for the first event and your loved one is not there. So my recommendation for everyone, those who are dealing with grief, the grief might be very prevalent in your life. Maybe it's in the background, but what I don't want is for anyone to fall into permanent grief or fall into depression because of the holidays. So please prepare yourself. You do not, here's the thing, I lost my mother when I was 18 years old. Okay. I watched her suffer with cancer from elementary school all the way through 18. I know grief. I know sadness. I know the hope that this time they're going to get better because they always did. And this time shouldn't be any different. And you find out that this time is different. So here's what I want to say: by the grace of God, grief has not overtaken my life. Okay. So it didn't for me, and it doesn't have to for you. There is joy, there is hope on the other side of grief. Here's my other shameless plugs. I have written How to Deal with Grief, Dealing with Grief, and How to Move Beyond It. I just uploaded the companion guide that goes along with this, so it should be ready in a week. Today is October 8th, 2025. So you can go to my website, you can go to Amazon. The other thing is, I have written another book, which is also a sermon notebook and journal for those who go to church and you like to take the notes. I have spiritual growth assessments in there as well. So I don't want to hold you guys up long, but I do want to say to the Shannon group in Sierra Club, I am so honored that you guys reached out to me. You have no idea, being a small independent author, I just published my book today. So to be contacted, you guys really lifted my spirits, and I was just really honored. I wish I could have joined you guys in person to really talk about it, to share with this. But just to be able to tell you guys about the book is an honor. I do hope that you enjoy it. I'd love to hear your feedback. For anyone who reads it, please be kind enough to go on to Amazon or Goodreads and leave a review. I would greatly appreciate it. And you have no idea how much this really means to me. So thank you so much. I'm Kia Holt, the author of Dealing with Grief and How to Move Beyond It. I'm here in the Columbus, Ohio area. So if anyone ever travels through, let us know. Okay, you guys are awesome. Have a great one and have a great discussion. Be open, be honest, find someone who you can talk to, and do not let grief overtake your life. Okay, be blessed.